Hello, Tamily. It's time for our 123rd Ask Tamily interview, and our guest today will be Darlene. Darlene's Instagram name is Darlene underscore NYC underscore 13. So we will get connected with her in just a moment. And of course, we have some questions planned, but it is way more fun to ask your questions live. So please type any questions you have into the chat, and we'll scroll through and make sure that we get to them during the interview. People haven't been asking as many live questions recently, so please do type some questions in, and we'll be connecting with Darlene in just a moment. Happy holidays. You can see I'm in the office I use for all of my Zoom calls for work, and I'm trying to be a little festive. So we should have Darlene in just a minute. So you have plenty of time to think of your live questions that you're going to ask. Okay, I'm sending to you, Darlene. We are connecting. Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being our 123rd interview.
1, 2, 3. I love it.
I'm so excited. So thank you for joining us, Darlene.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking me.
Absolutely. We have some questions planned for you, but I'm also going to take live questions from the chat if anyone types them in. So let's go ahead and get started with our first favorite question, which is when and how did you get involved in the Tracy Anderson method?
Let's see, when did I think I came across her YouTube videos many years ago, and took one look at that crowded room with her crazy arms and was like, pass, pass, pass. But most recently, when I was 9 months was I 9 months? I was like half a year to 9 months postpartum with Daphne, my second one, who's now 4.5, 4 and several months. I knew that I needed to get back on track with my fitness. Like I just, I was just having 2 kids and my husband's busy schedule. So I started looking online at just, typing in all the different workout programs and checking them out. What was that one? Anyway, there were just a few that I came across, and I was like, a little bit too high impact, a little bit too this, a little bit too that. And then I saw Tracy again, and someone talked about I don't even remember who it was in this article, but someone talked about their postpartum journey with it and going through all of her DVDs. And I knew that she had this wide range of DVDs to suit, people at all different levels of their athletic athletic journey. So, I don't know, I just kind of jumped into it, and it was weird because something led me to go to Instagram, which I hadn't used at the time. Like I think I have a personal account, which I barely use now. I'm all about my fitness one. And I got online, and I just, for some reason, decided to type in Tracy Anderson, and I found, the typical people like Danka, who was in Spain, now is in Poland. I probably saw you, I saw Carolina Goglo, and I saw, of course, Loretta at some point, and Aggie, like all the people who've been there for a while and who post daily almost. So it was, yeah. And then I was like, what? There's like this community of all these amazing looking women who've had, who have stressful jobs or, people to take care of, creatures to take care of, younger and older than me, all different fitness levels. And I was super inspired by that. So it's just interesting how it all worked out. But yeah, it's just a little bit of research, and I came across her, and I thought that it was a good fit.
And you started streaming then, or what did you start with?
No, I was so weak. I could barely do a push-up. So, and I'm usually, I'm not a weak person in general, but just the postpartum journey, like I hadn't worked out really much during the pregnancy. I was doing, I was swimming once a week or twice a week and walking a lot. But I was so weak. Like I went to a yoga class in my building, and she had us do a plank, and I just flopped right on my belly. And it was the most embarrassing thing because, like, I used to brag about my upper body strength. But yeah, not streaming at all because at that time, she only had a tame.
Okay.
And that was just way too hard. Like even now through intermediate, which apparently now intermediate is the older teen. But yeah, I was not ready for that. And so I got on Amazon and I got some Metamorphosis DVDs. And I incorrectly chose hip centric. Turns out I'm glute centric. And I was like, why are things, I'm getting a little stronger. I feel stronger. And like, it helped with flexibility, endurance, everything that, everyone has mentioned it helps with. But yeah. My WBA didn't look any different. But yeah, that's why, because I'm not hip centric, apparently. I'm glute centric, like apparently the vast majority of women.
So after you did the Metamorphosis, then did you go to streaming?
Did I go streaming? Yeah, I did. So I was pretty consistent with Metamorphosis, and then I started chatting with people online. And since I live in New York, and this is right when she had opened her 59th Street studio. So the whole time I was doing Metamorphosis, I was watching the studio come up and just wishing that I was even like half as strong to even like, be bold enough to step into the studio. I just like completely would just walk by and be like, there's a studio. I'm like, I live 10 minutes away by foot.
Oh my God.
So, that weighed on my shoulders that I wasn't at that level yet to get into the studio. Although, you know what, if you want to go into the studio and you don't feel like it, go into the studio. I have more on that later if you want. But yeah, so towards the end of the 3-month DVD set, I started to go into the studio and then get a taste of what streaming was like. And then I signed up for streaming. Wow. So yes. And then I finished my DVDs just because I had to feel that completion. and then I continued streaming.
So what did you think about the studio the first time with the heat and humidity and with a trainer that's usually not Tracy?
Oh gosh, yeah. I was not working out with heat or humidity at the time at home. And yeah, a friend who I met online who was also based in New York, and many of you probably know her. Her name is Candy or Amy. And she took me to the studio for the first time. She's like, I'll go with you on my lunch break. And so I joined her. And at the time, Olivia Bowman Jackson, who some of you know, she was our teacher, our instructor that day. So like you can imagine, I was like starstruck. I was like, and I'm pretty sure I saw LaShawna there, and I'm pretty sure I saw Courtney there too. So I was like, this is amazing, like all these people that I see. On streaming, I'm seeing in person. And of course I was starstruck, and it was awesome to be there. But what was your question? What did I think of my first?
Yeah.
I think I was super excited, and it was really cool to go through it, but I might have gotten sick by the end. I can't remember. So it took me about 6 visits to really figure out what my body could handle. I'm not like super duper athletic, like I can't just like go through the workouts without drinking, without stopping, taking a break. I mean, and everyone has different, as we all know, after even doing it for a year, ups and downs from day to day. And so I didn't know that I would be dehydrated. And because of that, I'd get headaches. And so after I was done, I probably had a headache, probably had to drink a lot of water, probably started putting electrolytes in my drinks, in my water. But it was just such an amazing experience. And I remember thinking like, I have never seen my face this red before in my life. And I was like super impressed by that. But the experience definitely, it was so awesome to, be among people who are just as dedicated to their fitness and their health, and to see the trainers up live in person, and to have someone like, other Tamily people reach out to me and say, hey, you can do this. And at the time, Julie, who's now the COO, she was the studio manager, and she was really encouraging too. So for me to step into the studio and just, I'd be in my own head too much and think I couldn't do it, I couldn't get through the class. I just got a lot of really helpful tips from people in the studio. Everyone, the people who were there were really encouraging. And that really helped me with my journey in the beginning.
Yeah. It'll be nice when we get back to studio visits on a regular basis.
Yeah, I don't even know how they're doing it with the masks on.
Yeah.
I mean, I can barely hold a conversation with the mask. So, kudos to them.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I don't know. But yeah, The
That's a
studio,
different level of athleticism.
yeah, the studio vibe it is pretty amazing, and just having the music and the trainers right in front of you, and just
Mm-hmm.
the room, especially when we'd have the planned group meetings
Mm-hmm.
with people from out of town, and we'd meet up, and it would be mostly Tamily in the room at 6 a.m.
Yep.
working out hardcore. You're like, yeah, we got this.
Yep. It's so fun, so much energy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we do have a couple of questions for you in the chat. So Nicole would like to know, who would play you in the movie of your life, and what would the title be?
Who would play me? Wow. I love those kinds of questions, but I have never thought of that one. Nicole from Ask Tamily, Nicole?
Yep.
Brilliant question. Maybe I should have done my homework and looked at that list. Oh gosh. I've always had a crush on Jessica Alba. And so I would have her play me, doing cool spy superhero stuff in either a cat suit and or a bikini.
Perfect.
But it has to be some beachy area. I don't know if you asked about location, but location is key.
Okay.
It's got to be a beach.
Ironically, the next question is sort of related. Kat would like to know if you will do a workout in a string bikini.
No. No. Especially now. Kat, did you see my post about the pies that I ate? No. I will do it in the cat suit. Oh, and Kat, you didn't know this, but she doesn't know. I actually have a second cat suit because she liked my cat suit so much, I got her one. But that was supposed to be a surprise.
That's exciting. Well,
And I think that she said something about she was trying to shame me for my yellow bikini because she wants me to send her one. So yeah, I think that's why she's asking. You want to do a class with me, right? Is that why? Gotcha, girl. Gotcha. You send me your Florida your address, and I'll send you that yellow bikini, and we'll set up a time. But I'm gonna have to get more white lights. Lots more white lights.
So that's all of our questions from Kat for now. So we'll go back to some more standard questions. How do you get and stay motivated to work out so regularly?
Yeah, I mean, all the usual answers really. Like I get on Instagram, and this is maybe because I am partially narcissistic. I don't know, so I've been accused of. But sometimes I just look at my own page, and I go all the way back to 3 years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to look at that. I used to look like that, or I used to perform like that. And it's not from shame, but it's just so proud of all the little steps. Like this is the most committed I've ever been to any workout and to really anything that I've liked. This is a hobby, but it's also fun for me. And so it's really fun for me to look back and see my progress. So yeah, just looking at myself. And then if I am vain about it, then I'll like put on my tight jeans, my skinny jeans, and be like, whoops, gotta hit those and that. Or, back in the day, there was a pre-pandemic, there would be some sort of trip. Since I love the beach, there was always like, I gotta get into that bikini. But not just that. I need that the endorphin rush in the morning to to be a nice, happy person for the people around me, to be as supportive and as loving as I can be, because I have a hard enough time as it is. And so, with the pandemic and not having Andy, my husband here, he's in New York City during most of the, most of the week, and then he's here on the weekends. I just need to have that, to feel physically well, and then which ties into my mental well-being. So all of those things keep me motivated. Seeing people, it's like, opening up my Instagram feed and seeing people working out, at all hours of the day, no matter what, with poor sleep, with injuries. I mean, it's incredible how many people work around their injuries. And, that could be a bad or good thing, but, everyone's really careful about where they are in that. And, to see other people's motivation is motivating to me as well. But just thinking I want to live a long and healthy life and be a good role model for my girls. And, it's cool to know that I've inspired other people. So that helps me as well, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I always love watching your videos, and especially when you would have views of New York from that room you would work out in. I love seeing that.
Oh, that room, I know. Oh my gosh, I do miss that room. Although right now, if I were there, I for sure would have been complaining about how cold it is and how crappy the building is for letting the heat go. But now that I've discovered my Amazon bought infrared heater, if I once get back to that fitness room, I will carry that thing with me.
That's a great idea.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have a few more questions in the chat. Kat would like to know if you work out when you're on vacation.
Sometimes. Yeah. I remember one week when we were in Disney World, I worked out every morning in this large bathroom space that we had, and then I'd go to the gym. And when I was in Mexico pre-pandemic, last February, I did work out every day. I had the most beautiful porch, but I would never overdo it. I would only work out about 30, 40 minutes, and I never, and I don't do attain anyway, like just intermediate or beginner. Sometimes beginner doesn't feel like enough. I love beginner when I'm feeling tired or on my period or something like that. But like, yeah, it's like 30, 45 minutes of attain. But I definitely like, because again, like it's about the endorphin rush in the morning and just feeling like I have my regular morning movement to anchor my day. No matter where I am, I still feel like I need that. Yeah.
Do you ever do dance cardio?
No, I'm not a dancer. And I know that's a terrible excuse because I know many of you are not dancers and have become them through dance cardio. So I have a nice long list of excuses. I'm not a dancer. I don't have time. I don't have the mental bandwidth to learn the dances. I have sensitive joints. If I dance too much or like if I exert myself too much, I really do eat more, and I'm good I'm pretty good about my diet lately, not as great, but it's so hard for me to have such a tight diet, like when I'm on attain, and if I add cardio to that, I would have to just, all of my time, all of my energy would be spent on my diet, and I just don't like doing that. It's not fun.
Yeah.
I love food and I love to eat, and like if I'm like, oh, well, I need calories, I can feel that my body, like I need the calories, but then I'd have to eat something healthy, like some sort of protein, like that wouldn't be fun for me. If I had to carry around protein bars in whatever form, like that just wouldn't be fun. And I did have to do that for a while. So 2 years ago when I was starting to get into attain, and I had I was using the prescribed ankle weights, like all of the low and the heavy ankle weights. My diet had to be so tight, and it was not fun. I don't like that.
Yeah.
So those are all of my excuses for not doing dance cardio. If my metabolism changes, if if I ever decide that, and this would never happen, but I needed to get in like 10 out of 10 shape, and I needed to be completely shredded, I'll do dance cardio. But until then, I'm totally happy with the mat work. And I do take walks now. That's not exactly cardio, but yeah. And I really get into arms. So for me, arms is cardio.
Yeah.
So yes, I do a little bit of cardio now. I get my heart rate up.
Babs would like to know, what is your #1 piece of advice for a total TAM newbie?
A total TAM newbie. Oh gosh. Just one piece of advice?
I guess so. Just the best one.
I think the best one, really, in all seriousness, and I think I've said this a lot in my posts, is listen to your body. Whatever that, whatever that means to you, but you have to listen to your body, because so I've only been doing this for 3 years, and I know that for many it's like, oh, that's nothing. But even within 3 years, I know now what it means to listen to my body. So for example, this week I'm on the computer more, and actually this chair that I'm sitting at is not ergonomic at all for the work that I'm doing. And I'm reading and I'm typing a lot on an unergonomic platform. So I have a lot of neck pain, and I had to go out to see an acupuncturist. And I'm sleeping better. I'm trying to sleep better at night. But if this were me 2.5 years ago, when I was like, all about Tracy and posting and, this can be good and bad, but feeling motivated by the Tamily, I would have pushed myself. And it's not a bad thing to push yourself. And sometimes, like this morning, I had to push my my pie belly onto the mat and like work out, and I did not want to work out at all. But you know, I was very conscious of the fact that I still had to be gentle on my neck. And now I know what it means to overextend myself on the mat, you know, because a lot of the movements and the positions that we do take for these moves are repetitive. And that repetitive stress, you know, if you look at Tamily, who's been around for a while, hardly any of them have come through this, not unscathed, but we have to take care of our body. And our body changes, as everyone has noted. Like, I'm 43 now. Oh, I actually said that number out loud. But yeah, oh, did you just have a birthday?
I did.
You did! And you're?
40.
Yeah, happy birthday! Yeah, so, and that's what motivated me to start working out too. I was about to turn 40 when I was postpartum with my second, and I was like, oh God, I'm like, I have a young baby, I'm about to turn 40, I can't even do a push-up. But yeah, so like in the beginning of my TAM journey, I was so motivated by everybody, but that motivation continued on that high level, but my body wasn't able to take it. And that's when I got injured. And it's not because the method injured me, it's because I didn't listen to my body. Not just that, but you know, your lifestyle changes. You, for whatever reason, we have extra stress going on, you know, with personal, professional you know, corners of your lives, and you have to take that into account. So I didn't do that. I was just like single track. I want my body to, you know, to reach its highest potential. Screw the fact that like my tracks are killing me and I was bulking up in all the wrong places. And yeah, listen to your body. And that, you know, that definition of of listening to your body changes just like, you know, everything else in the method and everything else in your fitness journey. So one day that could mean, you know, I could actually get on the mat and do a little bit more and maybe do some dance cardio. And then other days that might mean, you know what, I'm not going to do that double that I thought I was going to do. I'm just going to do that single. And you know what, that's going to be awesome too. You know, or like, you know, like I used to beat myself up, and I'm sure if I looked back on my previous posts about this, you know, oh, I wish I had done this move a certain way, then I would fixate on a move. It's like, so what? Yeah. Now I don't even care. It's like, so I know we said one piece of advice, which was to listen to your body, but also have fun. And that's actually not an intrinsic quality of mine, because you know, I was born a serious person, but like these days I'm trying to keep it light, including my attitude on the mat. You know, because if you just sit there and you're, you know, just brooding over every move and how imperfect you're looking or feeling, like I said in my post this morning, I mean, and I know I'm gonna get haters being like, oh, I don't see a belly on you. Well, believe me, like I'm not like, you know, crouching over so you can see my belly, my pie belly hanging or anything like that. But you know, the point is that we're all in different points of our journey, and that's okay.
Exactly. We have another question from Cam Newbie. April wants to know if your results happened fast.
I think so. I think kind of, yeah. Through the metamorphosis, I definitely started to tone up more, and I started to see more lines in the places. So like, since I am glute centric, I didn't see what was happening fast around that area, but I saw it on my abs and on my arms, which are the usual suspects for my body. So in that sense, yes. Because I know that I have a pretty decent metabolism, and like I was getting back to eating better at that time when I started working out. Yeah, the diet played a role as well, and I was sleeping a little bit better because I was tired at night from working out. So results did happen fast, but you know, I think isn't that kind of typical? I'm not really a fitness expert, but when people suddenly change their fitness program, whether it's from one fitness program to another, or just simply start, you know, letting go of their sedentary life and start working out, their body's in shock, and so your body will respond quickly. And I think that's what my body did as well. Yeah. But you know, it has a lot to do with, you know, stress level, not just the method at all. It's all, you know, it sucks. It's diet. It's like it's all about your diet. It's like, oh, really? But yeah, work out. But as soon as I changed my diet, and as soon as I started intermittent fasting, which sounds worse and scarier than it is, it just, things changed. Yeah.
Well, we're getting a lot of good questions in the chat for you. So Tiffany would like to know, what is your favorite move? What is your most challenging move? And what is the most challenging move that you've now conquered?
Hmm. Well, because of my neck injury, I have a pinched neck nerve, and that was when I started to work out really heavy with Tam. But then I also had a really bad ergonomization. So again, I want to say, like, it's not because of working out, and it's not just my work life, but a combination of those two things and high stress. But because of that, it was really hard for me to do planks. So prior to my injury, I was relying on the strong part of my body, which was my traps and my upper back and my shoulders. And I was able to do the moves because my upper body was strong enough for that. But after my neck injury, I realized that I wasn't even performing it correctly. So all about, like, well, I'm not a trainer, so I'm not going to talk about like the actual form, but just like really using your core and pulling up. And so planks were the hardest and my most prized improvement in the last year and a half. My favorite, there are so many, because after doing this movement for 3.5 years and I'm continuously learning some small nuance that's amazing. So I start, and I'm in a dress, so I would show you, but I'll try to describe it verbally. But so you know how, like, Tracy, so basically leg extension, because my leg extension seemed to evolve like on a weekly basis, which is awesome. So, and because I have different flexibility on my legs, they perform differently, right? So I'm more flexible on my left side than my right side. And with my right side, I noticed that I was getting some hamstring pain. And then it was interesting because Sintra posted about this recently, and I realized, and sorry, Sintra, I forgot to say thank you. Oh, I'm the worst. But thank you for talking about that in your post, because I realized that I wasn't, what do you call it, like opening up my hip enough before I extended out. And so just that little bit of extra movement, it made the move better for me. Yeah. So, like, I'm not feeling it so much. I'm feeling it in my glute where it's supposed to be, and I'm not feeling it in my hamstring anymore. So that's one of my favorites. So, like, you're either you're on all fours and then you're just extending your leg back, but it's how you extend your legs. So you're not just pushing your leg straight back, but it's like opening and then a quick swat up with your leg, which is how Tracy does it too. She doesn't have this like long, graceful move, she's really tightening up that glute. That's one of them. But I also love anything with a nice twist in my core, like where I can feel it in my obliques and where I can feel it in my transverse abs, because I'm really starting to understand what it feels to utilize those during these core moves, which is almost every move. And yeah, those are my two favorites.
Yeah, I like that too. I love thinking about how it's knitting everything together.
Yes.
Like using every muscle around the whole core. So Tiffany has another question. She says, what have been your biggest lessons you've learned about form? Like use of weights, switching between classes, as you've had different like injuries that you've had to move into.
Excuse me 1 second. Let me close this door because I can hear my kids' TV show and I couldn't quite hear the first part of the question. Okay, so say the first part again, please.
What have been the biggest lessons you've learned about form?
Form. I guess to stop thinking about it so technically, even though you have to think about it technically. It's so confusing. As you can see, I'm in this like transition of understanding my body because I'm going through yet another period, another phase of pain with my neck. But yeah, I mean, a long time ago, someone gave me the advice to just go flow through the movements, and I did, and I actually kind of injured myself more. But that's because I was flowing through them maybe at the wrong pace, and I was using the wrong, I mean, obviously I was executing it improperly, but I have a problem with overthinking. And when I mean, it's just in everything that I do. I was born that way. I'm trying. And this, when I started this method, one of the reasons why I think I did so well in the beginning was because I devoted so much time to studying the breakdowns and talking to other people about about the movement, recording myself and really going back and looking at my form. But the thing is that it doesn't happen. Sometimes, you get these breakthroughs, but other times, again, like, you just take off a weight or you stop looking at the mirror and you notice your body doing something differently. Just like sort of get into the move and just feel it with your body rather than just like thinking about overthinking it. And for some of you, you're like, I don't do that anyway. But we all come with different ideas on how we should be moving on the mat and the types of things that we think about. But I definitely am an overthinker with the form, and that hasn't always helped me. So now I'm just flowing with it with my body and seeing where my body takes me.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Like, there's those of us that think too much, and then some that maybe aren't thinking enough about it, but it's about getting into that balance.
It's that dang balance. Like, every day is a different balance. Yeah, I hear you.
Well, let's see if we have more questions in the chat. So a lot of chat questions today. A lot of comments also. Everyone really loves you, darling.
That is so sweet.
So we'll get back to some of our plans. Have you ever met Tracy?
Yeah, I have. When she was, when was the first time I met her? The first time I met her might have been when I did Vitality in the New York City 59th Street studio 3 years ago, I think. Yeah. I think it was 3 years ago. I can't remember. I think whenever she had the last nurse, I think it was 3 years ago. No, but that couldn't be because I was something like that. And so I met her then briefly, but I think she was, that was one of the ones where she attended but wasn't able to work out. But she was there and she gave the lectures and it was awesome. And I got to meet a lot of other Tamily from all over the world, not just in New York. And then, subsequently, just, since 59th Street is a flagship studio, I've seen her around. She taught a few classes. Oh, so when she was doing the Barney's collaboration a couple summers ago, she was in the city more than she normally was or normally is. And then she started offering her live classes to people who were around, like non-members, which was really cool. And I'm not a member, so I was able to jump in on those classes with Kat and with other people who were around the New York City area, and that was cool. So like, yeah, so then, last year she attended Mary's birthday, and I was there too. So I was hanging out with her, and I saw her fiance and Penny. Yeah, so I've seen her, like, just because I'm also in the city, so it's easy to spot her at times. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I love talking to anyone in New York City, so I can live vicariously through you.
Come visit anytime when it's safe. I'm not even there myself, so.
Yeah, we were going to go in May, and obviously that didn't work out, but
I know.
As soon as possible.
But that was cool that I got to meet you in person in February.
Yes, February? Right before all of this craziness.
Only 8 months ago. Crazy. Yeah. So Suzanne and I met in Chicago when Cassie and Sintra and that crew set up the Chicago.
It was so much fun.
That was a lot of fun.
We have to do it.
And so long ago.
Seriously.
Don't worry, one day again soon.
So Kat has another question. She said, what's the difference between Tracy teaching versus a trainer in the studio?
What's the difference between what?
Tracy and another trainer teaching in the studio.
Oh, Tracy and another trainer? Oh. Well, for me, I mean, of course, I'm sort of starstruck by Tracy being there working out. Like, I can't have to stare at her in her beautiful form. I mean, this is her method, and she's the genius behind the method, so it's a bit hard to separate myself. But once I get into it, of course, And everyone is always delighted when Tracy was there teaching. So the energy was always off the charts for me. You know, it's just so, but having other trainers there too, I mean, it's different, you know, like obviously these trainers are dedicated and they're so great on the mat. So it's just, I mean, it's just a different thing. It's just a different comparison because Tracy's the genius behind the method, but the trainers are also, they add so much to the experience with the student because we get to see, you know, the same move performed in a slightly different way. So
Yeah.
yeah, and of course we have our favorite, you know, we gravitate towards different personalities on the mat, and so we have our favorite trainers, you know, like some people have harder arms, way harder arms, and
Yeah.
you know, or like they extend your leg more gracefully, or not gracefully, but like with a different extension angle or something. So it's like, yeah, it's hard to compare really because Tracy's like, she's on her own level. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that other trainers would be disappointing or like not as good as Tracy. And that's not really the case. They're good. They're just
Well, it's not just, yeah, it's that, but it's also, I wonder, like, I mean, I would love to find out why, you know, some movements of Tracy's are executed differently in terms of the timing than other trainers. And I mean, that's something that I probably could just like text somebody and ask.
yeah.
But I don't. I just continuously wonder because that obviously has to do with the contraction of the muscle. And is it because her like butt muscle is so evolved in a different way that like she has to do it? She has to like, you know, it's the rhythm of the movement that's different than other people's movements, and that makes me wonder. But yeah, in that way, it's disappointing because you're like, oh, it's not the same as you know.
But it's a different dynamic.
Yeah, for sure.
So Tiffany and Natalia have a similar question. They want you to tell us about your PhD work and how your research paper is going.
And how my paper is going? Paper is going. Paper is going. So this is I'm now working on the dissertation proposals. And thank you so much for asking. That's so sweet. You guys are so supportive, and that really helps me stay motivated. It's funny because when people talk about motivation on the mat, it's like, I mean, I love working out. It's a hobby. But when it comes to my PhD work, I'm like, oh man, this is grueling writing and like reading. But it's going. I'm hoping to defend. So like I have two different defense dates. One is just for the proposal, which is a much smaller paper. It's only 25 pages. And I hope to defend that in a month in front of my 3-person committee on Zoom, of course. And then maybe by the summer, I'll be finished with the entire project, and then I'll be able to defend the whole thing. But it's going slowly. I'm here. I have a lot of support in Maryland. I have my parents my dad's a really awesome cook, and my mom bakes really well, so they cook for me, and my in-laws help with the kids during the week. So I have a lot of support, so I don't have any excuses to not move faster. Election's over, and you know, and there's like less distraction with that. So it's going. It is moving slowly, but I'm finally on track with where I want to be with it. When I started this paper 3 years ago, I was also at the beginning of my TAM journey, so it was interesting to see. Like I kind of do look at them in parallel, and I use the same grit that I apply on the mat to the grit that I have to apply to my paper, which is interesting that there are those parallelisms, you know, but I think that a lot of people have also found that as well, you know, or like you learn something on the mat, or maybe with your interactions or how your body moves or what your body's capable of, and you take that off the mat and you're like, yeah, I feel stronger. You're not only physically stronger, but you're emotionally and you're, you know, psychologically stronger as well from it. And it all plays a role, really. Like it's all tied in. And because of that, I think that's why I've been able to stay strong through my PhD work, which has been one of the toughest things I've had to do. Because it's really hard for me to write under this type of pressure. But it's coming along. I'm writing about how people plan their speech. And I'm looking at it in terms of prosody, which is rhythm. So like when I said the word rhythm with like Tracy's leg, of course I thought about like speech rhythm because that's how my mind works. But
that's
yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah. And so like talking is an interesting thing too, because I don't like to talk because I like to edit my words. And I'm sure if I go back and listen to this, I'm like, why I didn't mean to say that, or I changed my mind. I edit what I say, which is what I do all the time. But you know.
Well, this is just the casual Ask Tamily.
Yes, oh, I know it is, and I know, yeah, I feel totally comfortable sharing what I have to share. And if I decide to change my mind, you know, I attribute that to the Gemini in me.
Tiffany also asked, what are your plans with your New York, Maryland life? Are you going to live in New York again during the school year?
During this school year, I'm not sure. So just now, this past week, New York City closed down their schools because they reached a 3% threshold for positive cases, hospitalization cases. My kids started out remote anyway. We decided that that was the best thing for us to do. And we knew that eventually the schools were going to close. I mean, it was inevitable. It was inevitable. So this year, most likely I'll be in Maryland for most of the time. And the kids were not even bringing to New York because it's not fun to be with them in the city. Like, we don't enjoy, they're like, oh, we have to wear masks. And I really don't feel like hearing them talk about how they don't want to wear masks. So I prefer to have an easy life as a mom and let them enjoy this community here. The community that we're in is, it's pretty safe. I feel very safe here. It's gated. And we live on the corner lot, so they can play outside if they want. We have little tennis courts. And we're very blessed to be here. We are, and to be surrounded by all the family. So, you know, I love New York. And I know that right now people who are in New York or who left New York aren't loving New York. And it is sad because it's not the same. It's more exciting than here right now, but it's also not the same. So I think I'm going to be in Maryland for the time being. I'm going to definitely take some long weekends or maybe even a week to myself in the city. And when I do that, I like to go see my girlfriends, including Kat. Although I think she's in Florida right now. But yeah, I think I'm just going to be in Maryland because it's so much easier for me to get around. And we don't have to mask up the whole time. And I realize that by saying that, like, you know, shout out and thank you to those who have to wear masks every day and, you know, who have to go out there. And I have loved ones who are, you know, who fall in that group. So I realized when you saying like, oh, I don't feel like wearing a mask and I don't feel like having my kids wear one, like I realized that I'm really lucky. And I'm grateful every day that we have this opportunity to have this house here and to be surrounded by healthy family who can help out, and Andy can come back and forth. And then, you know, when things get safer in the city, then we will start going there. But that's not going to happen for quite some time. You know, be realistic. It's just, you know, I don't know. We'll see what happens, you know?
Yeah.
Everywhere.
We can't like wish for it to just go away.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be a journey.
Exactly. And we just have to make them the best of it. Whatever that means, you know, for each of us.
Yeah. And as, you know, challenging as this year has been, I think to the point that you made, it makes you realize like what's really important and what we should be grateful for.
Yeah.
So we'll get back to some of our planned questions. Why is your workout important to you in particular?
You know, not just for the physical benefits, like we all talk about that. And I think I touched on that in my very short summer program write-up in her magazine, in Tracy's magazine. But, you know, the obvious ones are first and foremost, like, you know, the obvious thing is, oh, I want to get myself back in shape. I want to feel fit. I want to feel fit not just for myself, but like, you know, I want to feel good in my clothes. And then you realize, oh, that physical fitness extends far beyond my own being, my own shell, but it you know, it affects my emotional state for my family, you know. So it's like I'm a better mom, and my husband even knows, like, he's like, you need to get on the mat. Like, I know you haven't been working out, so you just get on the mat. Like, I'll take care of the kids, and and that's amazing that you know, he's gotten to that point of an awareness of what's good for me as well. Because trust me, like he's like very much into his own world sometimes, but you know, he recognizes that I'm really a much better person in general. Like when I start out the day with a workout, if that's what I want, you know. So and it's not only just good for me physically and emotionally and mentally, but it's also good for my family as well. And as long as I don't overdo it, as long as I listen to my body, which was my number one advice, then I have this amazing energy that lasts through the day. And then when it's time for bed, I just pass out. My body's tired from the day and from my workout, but yeah, I've done my job.
Yeah. And
Time to rest.
I think that's something that, you know, exercising gives you more restful sleep, like in general. I mean, that's just another, you know. Do you have a motivational quote you would share with the Tamily?
Let me see, do I have a quote? I mean, I just, it's so cliched, but I really do like, just do it. It's it's just, not just with working out, but it's also, it's like that overthinking thing again, where I overthink things too much. Like, oh, do I have the right outfit? Do I have the right lighting? Do I have, my video camera, whatever, or, this is on the mat. And with anything else I do, I just overthink things too much, and I just have to just do it. And not just do it, but be happy with the result, and not to have these regrets. And I'm learning how to not have regrets, even if there are things that I've done that were not as smart as they could have been, but just not to have regrets. But even though it's not a quote, it's one of my favorite words, and I'm not shooting my book here. I'm using it to prop up it's Grit by Angela Duckworth.
Oh.
And I really do love this idea of grit. So like, I bought this little thing, and I wish I were an artist, or I wish I could do it myself, but it's just grit. It's a noun made up of hustle, passion, and perseverance. So it just reminds me to have grit every day. Although I don't need that reminder. I think I love it so much I might get a tattoo post-COVID, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. Just do it and grit. That's it.
That's perfect.
What's yours?
Inspiring. Mine is on a poster in my Tam cave, and it says someone busier than you is working out right now. And it's over New York City. So I love New York City, even though I never lived there. But I always think about how, people are awake 24 hours a day there, and people are working out and doing much harder jobs than me. And so there's no excuse not to work out.
Sorry, I'm moving around here. Trying to get some better light here. The sun's going down. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So my next question for you is, what are you drinking?
What am I drinking? I'm drinking champagne. And it's so funny that I'm drinking this, because I remember when I first started my Tamily journey, I know a lot of women drank white wine and champagne, and I was like, it's fine. I liked whiskey at the time. But now I don't know why, but I really do like it, and it's really good. And so like this past summer, right when the pandemic started, I moved to Maryland, and I was introduced to this huge wine store, but someone who helped me like go through a lot of French whites, and I discovered, I really do like Chardonnay, and I do like Sauvignon Blanc. And then I discovered sparkling wines and champagne, but what I'm drinking today is this. And I haven't had it before. So this is what I'm drinking. Okay. And Grand Brut, which is dry. So I picked it up at my local wine store, where they have nobody there who knows anything about the wines. So ever. They say they have a wine guy, and I've been there at least a dozen times in the last several months. And each time the wine guy is not there. So I think they're making it up that they have this wine guy. But yeah, seriously, like, it's so annoying. Like, I want to go into a store and be like, I'm going to spend, X amount of money on this bottle of liquid, and I want you to tell me about it. And no one can tell me. So like, I'm here like Googling it, like, okay, this is supposed to be good. I saw on wine.com or something that it got like 4.7 stars out of 5. And I was like, that sounds good enough to me. And it's dry. Like, I love dry. I have a huge sweet tooth, but when it comes to wine, I do not like, I don't like residual sugar in my wine at all. My body doesn't do well with it at all, which is the weirdest thing because I shouldn't be eating refined sugar, but I can actually do refined sugar in other treats, but I cannot do it in alcohol, mixed with alcohol. So that's what, and there's something specifically about the minerality and the acidity of French grapes, and I know that's an incredibly just ignorant statement because there's a lot more involved in that. But I just seem to enjoy. My body enjoys French whites in general more than other whites. So that's what I'm drinking. Prior to this, other times I drink whiskey. I love whiskey as well. And I was into Japanese whiskeys for a while. But also it has to do with the residual sugar. So there's not a lot of residual sugar. And it's just you get these really nice complex flavors. So I was drinking this one with a little bit of coffee grain and it was a Japanese whiskey that was made. So the person who was the main whiskey creator, he had studied in Scotland. And so he took some of those techniques and then brought it to Japan, and then it's just so cool, all the different layers of a bottle of what we just consider liquid. It's so much involved in it, and so much detail, and I love that detail. Yeah, which is why I love this method, because there's so much detail, but then you can get swallowed up in it and become obsessed with it. And I have an obsessive personality, so I had to back off for a little bit and just be just enjoy the bottle of wine. Just enjoy your man time for what it is. For what it is, right?
Yeah. But that's funny because there's so many people that are so different in the family, but I feel like we're all united by being type A personalities.
Yeah, for sure. That has to be, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's the one common trait. So we are actually approaching the end of our interview, and I haven't got to most of these planned questions, which is good. But let's ask, if you could speak to your 20-year-old self, what would you say?
Oh, well, I did work out, and I was pretty healthy, I think. But it has to do with really non-fitness. But maybe, well, I did say have no regrets. I would probably say focus more on your schoolwork and stop dating. Because in high school, I was the opposite. In high school, I didn't date at all. And I focused way too much on school. So when I got to college, I was like, I'm free. My parents were, very traditional and religious and wanting me to focus on school. And I did, and I loved it. But then when I got to college, funny enough, I chose a very liberal school, which actually turned out to be the right choice for me. But opposite of what my parents raised me in. So I felt free. I was like, yeah. So I think I had a little bit too much fun as an undergrad in my 20s, and I was a little silly. Oh, but you know what? On a serious note, I would probably say be more supportive of other women. So in my late 30s, in my mid 30s to now, one thing I can say that has been really 180 for me is this idea of supporting other women, regardless of their backgrounds and, different political views, especially, during the election, we felt that. And I tried to reach out to people who felt like they were feeling separated from the rest of the community. And so I think that that's really important. And that's the one thing that the Tamily has taught me that was outside of anything that was fitness related, was to support other women. In no way have I ever been a part of this type of community.
I completely agree. I think it's a totally different mindset, to not be competitive and to lift each other up. It feels sad to think that the Tamily's the first place a lot of us have felt that in a community of women.
Right. Because we're all doing the same workout. We're all incredibly dedicated and learning, and we all look different, and we're all approaching it, in many different ways. But you can say, I'm beautiful, you're beautiful, I do the move well, so do you. Let's do it together, and let's learn from each other. And it's so different. And for that, I don't think I could ever give up the Tamily. Yeah, because it's a constant reminder, because we need to be constantly reminded too. It's not like, oh, you learned that lesson 2 years ago. You need that lesson, especially for people, you know, if it's not part of your intrinsic traits, you constantly need to be reminded. That's why you put yourself in these tribes, in these groups, in these communities, because they better you. Yeah.
And it reinforces the culture of the community.
Yes.
That's excellent, excellent note for us to almost end on. But I think we have time for another question. What is something that you are most proud of?
Honestly, if I'm going to be super real, that and I don't mean to sound controversial. I'll say it like this. How real should I get?
Get as real as you want to get.
Yeah, well, I had some drinks too. I mean, I've never had a problem with my body ever. Like and I know that this is a pretty big issue women have, you know, I'm not saying I'm a perfect one at all, but like, I mean, I'm happy with what I was given. But like growing up, I've definitely always been the least endowed up top among all of my female members. And, it's just funny, like, you know, when I finally decided like, oh yeah, I wanted to have kids, and I thought like, yeah, I'll try breastfeeding. And I breastfed them both. And the second one I breastfed well you know, into like almost toddlerhood. So I'm really proud of that.
Aww.
That, you know, like these things that are viewed as a sexualized object, you know, in society, and they will continue to be forever, probably, that they provided so much power as a you know, in a different capacity to other humans. So that's kind of cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so that's one thing I'm proud of.
That is a really, really wonderful thing to share.
And they don't look great. They now I get why women want to get them done after breastfeeding. I'm like, I get it now, and I totally told my husband, I was like, now I totally get why women need to get, you know, want to get them done, because they're like lifeless by the time you're finished doing that. Seriously, this is, you know, too much information here, but it is true. And so they don't look great, but you're just like, you know what? But you look at them and you're just like, damn, you know, you've got some power there, and you didn't know. And it's kind of cool, you know, so like some part of your body that you might not have always appreciated your entire life, like, you know, does something good for somebody else, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Excellent point. So I think we're about 1 minute from the end of our interview. It's been super fun talking to you, Darlene.
Thank you.
Is there anything else you would like to say to the Tamily this podcast?
No, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you have the opportunity to meet up with Tamily, whether you're traveling or whether someone's coming into your area, if you see that someone's like, you know, sort of swinging by your neck of the woods, try to meet up. It's really cool to meet up with other Tamily. I mean, before today, I was hoping to list all the people who I've met, all the Tamily, and I didn't. I've met many, and especially because I live in New York, right? And so a lot of people come by, but I've also been to Chicago, where I met a lot of new people as well. So I just think it's really awesome to get to know the Tamily, and, you know, just to put yourself out there, because that's not my personality to do that. You know, to put myself out there, but it's been one of the most rewarding things for me, and it's been a lot of fun. And for me to be talking to you is a lot of fun, and I'm so happy that I met you beforehand. And I remember when we met in Chicago, you were like, oh, when are you gonna get on the show? And I was like, it's not my thing. But then you reached out to me, and I had to say yes, because you inspire me. Nicole inspires me. Everyone, seriously, everyone in the Tamily inspires me. And I'm glad you didn't ask me who inspires you, because you really, I named a couple of names, but the truth is that all of Tamily inspire me. So yeah, reach out to people, whether it's through DM or on the posts, on the comments. Some of you don't like to record yourselves, that's fine. Some of you don't want to post, perfectly fine. But become part of the community, of the Tamily community. Yeah. It's worth it, whether it's online or whether it's, you know, once the pandemic's over, or when you feel comfortable meeting up with people in person, to do that, because it's so rewarding. And it just makes your workout even better, you know. And like, and I see everybody, and I'm guilty of not participating, but I see everybody getting together in morning workouts and it's, but even though I'm not participating, I love to see that everyone's getting together and just enjoying each other, especially in this time of loneliness, in this time of craziness. We need this community. So, you know, if you're feeling lonely, just reach out to somebody who you want to work out with in the Tamily. I'm sure there's somebody among our thousands of people in this amazing community who will, you know, who will be able to schedule up with you. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Thank you, Tamily.
Thank you so much, Darlene. It's been such a great interview.
It was a pleasure.
This has been a great interview, 123, and it'll get posted on Ask Tamily right now, and it'll get onto YouTube for eternity.
Excellent. Eternity, woo! That's scary.
Well, thank you, Darlene, and thanks for watching, Tamily.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.